So you listen, we got another story. This was breaking news that just happened yesterday, which was a crazy story. And it's kind of sad, Kay, because I was actually thinking this the whole time when we first heard the news that Matthew Perry, the big Friends star, died. Right. He died last year. I think it was October, last year. And, everyone was sad because everyone loved Matthew Perry. Everyone loved that show. All of his castmates were so sad that what happened with him. And he was dealing with, drug issues for many, many years. Depression, alcohol use, drug use. It was just so sad, right? So unfortunately, he passed away last October, and everyone was just wondering, wow, what happened? Because at that time, everyone's saying that he turned his life around, right? That he got off the drugs, he weaned it off, and he was in a better place. So when the news broke that he died of a drug overdose, people was like, oh my God, it was so sad. No one really thought that was something that was going to happen because he thought that he turned it around. Mm-hmm. So the news just broke recently, just yesterday, that there were arrests that were made in the death of Matthew Perry. Uh-huh. 5 people were charged with his death, and 2 of them were doctors, right? One of them was his own personal assistant, right? And so when he was found dead, he was found with ketamine in his system, and it just came out today that yesterday that his own personal assistant gave him a really big dose of ketamine. And his personal assistant is the one that found him dead and who called the authorities that he's dead and was pretty much just acting like he had no idea. Right. Now, when he died, I was pretty sure that there was some foul play that went in. And there's a lot of people probably suspected there was foul play. But it is so sad to see that doctors that are getting underhanded money in their pockets from administering drugs like ketamine to these addicts. When you're like Matthew and you're going through this and you're a drug addict, you're not in your right mind. So you would think that doctors would understand that, hey, we can't give him this kind of dose. His personal assistant, friends, right? They have this woman who's called the ketamine queen. Right? Mm-hmm. She administers a lot of ketamine to not just Matthew, I'm sure a lot of celebrities that they go to these underground people and they get these drugs to, fulfill the needs that they have, or they're not in their right mind. Right? So you mean there was even a doctor on tape saying something to the reference of, let's see how much money this guy is going to spend on these drugs to kill him, or something to that effect, right? So they, kudos to law enforcement who did a lot of research from October to now. It's great. I mean, they got on this and they got these people, charged now, which is great. So I guess my question to you is, when someone is going through this, right? And especially when someone's your friend, it's your personal assistant, they were friends for years, right? And especially also with these doctors, right? Why do you think that these doctors or, personal friends or personal assistants, when they damn well know that this man is suffering on these celebrities, because it's not just the Matthew, this happened to Michael Jackson, it happened to Prince, it happened to a lot of others. Where do you think the blame should go in terms of the death that happened with Matthew Perry and a lot of these celebrities? And where do you see this whole situation going, and who do you think deserves the blame?
Yeah, that's a great question, because, and you brought up Michael, you brought up Prince, John Belushi. I know that was a legal drug when someone administered the drug. Mm-hmm. I've often wondered about that, because my initial gut reaction is the blame being put on the person who unfortunately has passed away. And I often wonder, how is a doctor, right? So a doctor, and I don't necessarily understand all the rules to this or the legalities to this, but in many cases, these are drugs that can be prescribed. Mm-hmm. And doctors have some latitude based off of what they can prescribe to what they think is appropriate for a patient.
Right.
There's that. Oftentimes, we've seen where someone would administer this, right? They can make the argument, listen, I'm not a professional. I'm not a nurse. I haven't been technically trained on doing this, but it's not a crime, right? If I inject someone, I think there should be some sort of intent. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to blame the Michaels and Matthews and others of the world, but it feels like there's some responsibility that has to go on them. And so it's a tough one, man. I think what's also interesting too is this to me, maybe other folks saw this, but this to me came out of nowhere, right? So to you, when you say, hey, kind of kudos to law enforcement, I guess obviously they're behind the scenes continuing to work on this.
Sure.
Who knew, man? I thought the Matthew Perry thing was done. It was over with. Nothing to see here. Tragic accident. No. It was really something else going on.
You thought it was an accident even when it first broke months ago? You thought it was an accident?
Well, I thought it was an accident in the sense that no one intended to kill him. I thought from that standpoint, as I thought no one intended to kill some of the other celebrities that you mentioned. I think from that standpoint, yeah, I think it was an accident. Like you said, you've got this queen of ketamine, right? She's just doing her job, right? Whatever that is, just kind of moving around. It doesn't feel like there was something in place to intentionally kill Matthew. So yeah, I feel like it was an accident. Tragic.
I think it's completely tragic, and a lot of these actors and singers and entertainers who go through this, we can't blame them. They're sick. They're just sick. And you'll say that everyone's responsible for their own actions, yeah, to an extent, but when you are sick and you're mentally sick, we can't blame them, right? Especially when you have professionals out there like doctors who are supposed to know better. I mean, ketamine is a drug that is used. There is some medicinal, health benefits to it. It's for your brain. It's to help the neurons supposed to connect better. So that's what that is for. So yes, when it's used for that purpose in a controlled setting by doctors, professionally speaking, it is a good drug, right? But the problem happens when you get these underground people like the ketamine queen, who's not supposed to be doing that, getting their hands on these drugs through third parties, wherever they're coming from. She is not supposed to be administering those drugs to people like Matthew or the Michaels or the Prince of the World, right? That's not supposed to be the situation. This is why she is now charged. That drug is only supposed to be administered to these patients who administered from actual doctors who can prescribe it to them in a healthy way that's actually going to help them and not kill them. So that's where people have to really concentrate on. And the problem is when you get this kind of drugs in your system, it's gonna kill you. And Matthew said to his personal assistant, "Give me the biggest push that you can right now." He says, "Give me a big one." That's what he told us. And come on, you gotta know that's crazy. If you're his personal assistant for years, right? You would think that you would know when you say that they didn't do it. It's an accident because they didn't want to kill him. Well, I mean, I don't know. Use your head, right? You're not a doctor, right? You're going to listen to a drug addict. He has a drug problem. Like, this. But the problem, Kay, is that a lot of these assistants and friends of the world, they want to do anything that these entertainers say. They're going to listen to Michael. They're going to listen to Matthew. They're going to they're just going to do it just because, right, they don't want to lose their job or whatever. I mean, it's the same thing with the whole Wendy Williams thing, right? The assistants, these people who work for these celebrities, they just want to keep their jobs. And even if it's to the detriment, I hear you. But I mean, bro, that's just...
Well, that's why... it is, but you're talking about folks that rely on these celebrities to underwrite their lives. And this is where your team is important. You need to have some people that are going to push back and say no. But people want to keep the money flowing. They want to keep these jobs. And it's difficult sometimes to have this ecosystem around you where you have a mix of, you need some of your yes men, right? And then you also need some people in
You
your
really
camp.
need a yes man?
Yeah, like I think your yes men sometimes can help pump you up. You're the best. You're the greatest. You know, Rodini with Muhammad Ali, right? Like he needed that. You know, as cocky as he was, you had that. But you also need some people in your camp say, nope, ain't gonna happen.
Right.
And so I think that's why sometimes you get that little bit of disconnect there, which is also why I said I don't think that they intended to kill him. These celebrities are the goose that's laying the golden egg. Now, just because, I'm going to be clear, just because you didn't intend to do it, doesn't mean that
you're not wrong.
Yeah, that you're not wrong, right? There are tons of people in jail just because they were negligent. Wasn't their intent, but their behavior and their act and what they did showed negligence. So you got to go away and serve some time based on that.
But you don't think this...
So I think from that standpoint.
But I mean, you don't think that people like Matthew's assistant has watched these stories over the years? You would think, right? You're watching the news. You see it happen to Michael. You see it happen to Prince. All of their assistants took a huge part, or doctors took a huge... Well, no, they were the reason why they died, right? So you would think that watching this over the years that you wouldn't want to make that happen to you again, because now your ass is charged and your ass, I'm pretty sure, is going to jail real soon. So you would think that these assistants and these doctors would learn something.
Nah, you would think, but going to jail or getting caught is rarely a deterrent. It's rarely, if ever, a deterrent for crime, right?
Yeah.
People are going to do what they're going to do and then worry about getting out of it or trying to avoid getting caught afterwards. And again, I'll go back to what I said before. I don't think that was the intent. Therefore, you're not even looking at it that way. I can't help but feel like, and I know what you're saying about he's an addict, he's sick, so he should be absolved from that. But I still go back to, listen, at some point, you weren't an addict and you decided to take that drug for the first time years ago, days ago, whatever it is. So,
right.
You know what I mean? So there's still some sense of responsibility for being in the position that you're in. So I don't absolve them totally from it. At the same time, I do agree with you that when you're at that point, that you're outside of your right frame of mind, you're not yourself, and it would be great to have some sponsors and some strong-willed people to kind of keep you on the straight and narrow. But notwithstanding that, there were no winners in this. And it's kind of sad to see. Because Matthew, he was a great talent. Full disclosure, I wasn't a big viewer of Friends. Friends. I didn't watch a lot of Friends. The few times that I did, I walked away from that recognizing him and knowing, to me, I thought he was the funniest person. It was hands down he was the funniest person on that show.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, it's sad.
I mean, the whole cast, from Jennifer Aniston that we talked about earlier to David Schwimmer and Courtney Cox, you know, everybody loved him and everybody was so sad. They were all at the funeral. Jennifer was very close with him and helped him out as much as she could, and I feel bad for a lot of the co-stars because, when anyone dies and they're your close friend, you always feel like, damn, I wish I could have done something more. I wish I could have been there better for them and helped them out there. But there's nothing they can do about that. But it's just when you get these people out there that are, I know they didn't want him to die, but I just feel like I wish, they would have used their brain more and understand if you're going to inject him with this big push and acting like that, when somebody is sick, you know it. So you wish that things would change, but it's an unfortunate trend that you see that's happening time and time again. And I don't know if it will ever stop, but like you said, when celebrities are in power and they have these yes men behind them and they are supporting them and they're getting paid to do their job, I guess they're going to do anything. But now it's kind of dumb because now you done killed him and now you don't have a job anyway, right? So you should feel horrible just on a personal level that you aided in killing a man, okay? And I know
I was just going to say, it's going to be interesting to see. You said they arrested 5 people, right?
They're charged. They're charged
5 people. And then so once all this comes out, see who goes to trial, and see if those 5 still are found guilty of anything, and if so, what those what sticks.
Yeah,
I think that's the interesting part, because when I heard about this, I'm like, 5 people, right? Like 5 people were complicit in the death of Matthew Perry, and which is now deemed a homicide. Like I don't know enough about it, but I'm really interested to see how that comes in. It's usually, that circle is usually the person that administered, and it's like a doc that wrote the script, right? I'm hearing 5 people. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe there's way more to this.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the length of time may kind of lead to the idea of the complexity of putting together this case, thus why there were so many people.
Yeah.
And so it really is interesting, and I'll be interested to see what you report on later as this story
Absolutely,
develops.
we're gonna definitely follow it, man.
Yeah.
But we know that people are going down.
Yeah.
They going down as they
Right.
should, they should. So continue to RIP Matthew Perry.
Indeed.
All right?